Okay guys, I've been putting it off too long. Here we go. Let's do part 2 of Iron Flame. I'm not looking forward to it, but I keep putting it off and I need to clear it out. I've been sitting for about a week with it just chilling. I haven't listened to a single audiobook in a week. I think my brain has recovered. I think I am at the point where I can be a little more honestly critical and not just hypercritical. So we'll give it a go, get it started, and I'll keep checking in with you guys when things get fucking weird. Okay, just to check in, I just checked because I haven't looked in forever. I have 12 hours and 37 minutes left. So we've been in Ryerson house for like half an hour, and she's already trying to be a martyr. She's like, oh, it's all my fault that everyone's here. It's all my fault that everyone's here. It's all my fault that Andarna doesn't have this one muscle developed. Like, bitch, people made choices. You explained to them what the situation was, and they made a choice. Stop trying to take people's choices away from them. Like, I am seriously, I've just started and I'm already over her bullshit. Like, I really need her to just grow the fuck up and realize that people made their choices and it has nothing to do with her. That they have their own sense of morality and they chose to do things that have nothing to do with her. The self-centeredness of it all. Okay, so she's in training now in the Rebellion Center, and they're actually making her use her signet in a way that makes sense. They're like, okay, rather than just focusing on how fast you can strike, I need you to actually hit something. And so the guy tells her what to hit, and then she misses, she immediately tries again, and she gets a little bit closer. And he's like, yeah, you need work on this. And she's like, I thought he was the nice one. He wasn't mean. He literally just said, you need to work on this. Like, this is a big deal. You need to aim. And she's like, yeah, but I was fast. And he's like, but you weren't accurate. She's like, God, he's so mean. Bitch, have you never been told do better? Ever. Have you just always been coddled and always been told that you're the best? So you can't handle it when someone gives you honest, constructive criticism. I'm another hour in, and I am roboting my floor, so I apologize if you hear that noise. We're still at, no, we've moved, because there's this Viscount guy that wants to see Violet throw lightning, and he has this thing called a luminary that they need, so she decided, against everyone else's wishes, that she would go with her brother and her sister. And Xaden, surprise, surprise, is already there, because he said he was going there. So she's all upset because of this chick that's there that's like being a bitch to her for no fucking reason, which means it's because she was fucking Xaden before they were together. And so this chick is like, kind of like giving jabs at Violet. Violet's kind of reacting. And then they go into this hall where Xaden already is, and he's like, walks up to Violet, and she's like, why would he come up to me when the obvious choice is the woman in the bright red dress, not me? And I'm like, bitch, he's your fucking boyfriend. What are you talking about? He's your boyfriend. You guys are like, you guys have decided that you're together. He keeps telling you, there's no getting rid of me. You're with me. You're mine. All this stuff. Of course he's going up to you. What the fuck? Why would he go greet someone else first just because you think she's prettier than you when he's your boyfriend? Genuinely cannot with the self-loathing, self-pitying martyrdom. What did my stupid robot get caught on? 10 hours and 20 minutes. We can do this. Deep calming breaths. I'm gonna do some yoga later. Everything's gonna be fine. Okay, so they released a venom on her. And the people that wanted to see her lightning powers, she had to kill a venom. And Xaden freaked the fuck out. And she had to do these like weird calming maneuvers on him, like send him like all these like emotional things through the bond, and then make sure that she physically like touched him to like calm him down. And I'm like, this is the love interest? Like, is he the Hulk? I don't understand. Okay, so I'm just back from the gym, but I need to check in before I lose everything. So apologies for my appearance. But, okay. So I went through a lot of this book while I've been doing things. I only have like 4 hours left-ish, 4.5. So, okay. I had some questions, right? Because we brought the flyers, which is what you call people who ride griffins, and the riders, which is what you call the people who ride dragons. Bro, they all ride animals. Okay, so we brought them all together. And my question is, like, they're all in, like, the Ryerson house, which apparently has, like, barracks. Barracks? Barracks. My question is, why does everyone in this super divided world all have the same religion? Right? Because even in Game of Thrones, like, there were different gods in different regions. And if you look at historically, like ancient Egypt, right, we have that big, huge pantheon, but even in different areas of ancient Egypt, different gods were worshipped more than other ones. Like, I don't understand. It's, why throw in religion if you're not going to build it up in any way? It's just so basic. And then my other question, so the riders and the flyers kept fighting, punching each other, all this shit, even though they're supposed to be getting along. Hugin, quit pacing. Even though they're supposed to be getting along. And I'm like, okay. So then the leadership decides that they're going to, hold on a second, Hugin, lay down. Thank you. Leadership decides they're going to join the drifts and the squads? I don't fucking know. Okay, so they decide they're going to join them. And Violet thinks this is an absolutely terrible idea because she's like, no, we are Iron Squad or whatever they're called. That's so fucking stupid. We have all these Boy Scout patches. Why would we let them join us? We are the strongest. We don't need anybody else. And I'm like, isn't strength knowing that you need to, like, lean on other people? Like, just like, Jesus fucking Christ. It doesn't make you any less to let people in. Like, this is so fucking weird gatekeepy bullshit. But she's supposed to be so smart. If she's so smart, doesn't she know that we're stronger together, like, than separated? Like, a house divided falls. Like, all of those fucking idioms. Okay, so that was my first issue. What was my other one? So on the day they decided they were going to join, her and Kat, or Kath, which I just realized the narrator is trying to give her like a British accent and is failing catastrophically. Like, every now and then a word will be like, and I'm like, wait, what is happening? And then she'll just fail on the rest of the sentence. It is so funny. I feel bad laughing because, I mean, I can't do accents. That's why I don't try. Like, bro. Okay, so... Jesus. So Kat or Kath, I can't really tell, challenges Violet, and during that she, like, gets into, like, Violet's mind and starts, like, needling away at her, like, little, like, background intrusive thoughts, right, and starts bringing them to the forefront. And then she's, like, talking about how good of a lay she was for Xaden, and I'm like, okay, stereotypes of women, got it, that's what we're doing, love to see it, absolutely love to see it. So they fought. Violet almost killed her. So now they gotta be friends, because that's the type of story we're doing. And enemies to friends. So, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, so then they, like, kind of get this, like, begrudgingly thing. They all get a Boy Scout patch. And, Violet and Dane start working together to figure out where Violet went wrong in her translation, because Dane is actually, like, really good with this language. So Violet talks to Dane a bunch, and they kind of, like, reconcile a little bit, and they're kind of maybe friends again. And they figure it out, but where Violet figures it out, like, in the middle of the night without, like, when Dane's not there. So she goes to tell Rhiannon first, and then they all kind of talk with the Griffin flyers together, because apparently if they activate this runestone to get the wards up, the Griffin riders will lose their power. I'm not exactly sure why. I didn't quite understand that because it was not explained. It's just apparently a thing that will happen. So what they need to do is have the dragons, like, breathe on this stone. And that makes it sound a lot less dramatic than I think it was supposed to be, but that's really what it is. So, let's see. So we figured that out, and then they're supposed to go on this, like, little mission quest thingy, and to, like, retrieve something. And I think it's just, like, an exercise. And guess who appears again? Solus, the dragon with one eye, who is, like, the bonded of the dude that was the pink lady from Harry Potter. That's a really convoluted way to say it, was the school leader that was trying to kill Violet. Because I can never remember that pink lady's name. I just remember she was color of Pepto-Bismol, and that's literally all I remember. I've asked 3 times what her name is, and it doesn't stick. So anyway, so his dragon shows up, and Violet shoots lightning at him, and Andarna stabs him with her poison tail. So, yeah. And I was like, okay, so, that happened, and we kind of skim over it, except for that Andarna had to go to, like, Dragon Court, and was found innocent, or not innocent, but to be self-defense, justified. She was found justified in Dragon Court, so, okay, so everything, that's all not on a worry. And then Xaden and Violet are arguing again over the same thing again. So they get interrupted again by a wyvern attack again, and they go out to attack the wyvern, and they go to do the ward thingy and like blow on the stone, and then they all fly out to this point to like meet the wyvern, and of course Taryn and Sigale get there faster than anybody else. Also, the names, I'm just saying them the way that the audiobook reader says them. I know that they are wrong, especially the fact that Mira's dragon, the audiobook reader, pronounces it tiny. Anyway, so Taryn and Sigale are the fastest flyers. So when Xaden gets out there, Violet asks him again, what's your second signet? Because that's at the end of their fight before they get interrupted. And she like guesses that it's like mind reading. And he's like, kind of, I can read intentions. And then she's like, oh shit, can I actually love this man? And he's like, I knew you wouldn't love me anymore. And she's like, stop reading my mind. And he's like, I didn't. I saw it on your face, bitch. Like, I can read your fucking face. And I'm like, why are you guys fighting about this? I understand, but that's not a thing to like end a relationship with or fight over. That's a thing like, okay, that explains why you wanted me to have really good shields. Got it. Maybe we should have a conversation about boundaries. Like, can you control your mind reading? Can we talk about this? But maybe it's because I keep forgetting that these are like 20-year-olds and they're all fucking dumb. But this was perfect, like, setup for a conversation about boundaries. Which we were all failing at miserably in this story. So that's where I'm at. But for this, I had, when I did my last video, I did put on my dragon eye earrings for you. So, or, plugs. So I will keep wearing my dragon plugs, because I forgot how much I loved them. I hope people watching this are enjoying it because I'm miserable with this fucking book. All right, good night. The whole time I was recording that, I could have been preheating my fucking toaster oven for my tater tots. And I'm so upset that I just talked for 9 minutes and didn't preheat my fucking air fryer toaster oven for tater tots. This is what this book is doing to me. Okay, so I'm just home. I worked from the office and then listened on my drive home. I'm gonna continue working from home. So I listened to about 2 hours worth of the story. Which is like 65 pages-ish. Oh boy. Oh boy. So the last I checked in with you, Violet had just found out that Xaden's second signet was intention reading. So they kind of had a small argument about it and decided they would continue it later because wyverns were literally on their way to attack them. The wyverns hit the wall and they died and everyone was like, yay! And then they went back to, like, the safe place. I was like, okay. Great, I'm so glad we did that. Only for us to find out later that the wards might not be complete, essentially. And I'm like, yay! Another reason to drag the story out. We could have just all had this be one thing. So they have a meeting with like the leadership of the school basically and the military, and they have this like argument over whether or not the new revolution is going to assist their oppressors in a war against the wyvern, whether they're all going to join up or not. And I guess everyone votes not to. And we have this conversation that is almost anti-military, but it ends up being like anti the wrong military. We're like, pro having a military to fight against other militaries, but anti being a military that fights against the wrong side. So we're not really anti-military, we're just anti-people that aren't what we want them to be. Like, no real actual, like, conversation about military issues. Which is fine, you don't have to do that in every book, I get it, but this is a very pro-military story. Despite what it's trying to do. Like, if she just leaned in to the fact that, like, to the anti-military shit, we might have a better story. But she's not. So, from there, we have, like, another Violet and Xaden arguing scene. Xaden sets a boundary that they are not to argue in their bedroom. They can argue other places, but not their bedroom, which is a fair rule that most couples kind of try to follow. And then Violet's like, okay, my rule is that we're completely 100% open and honest with each other all the time. All the time. And then she goes on to say, I understand that because we're in the military, there's certain things we can't tell each other, but everything else we need to be honest with. So tell me all about the military shit you haven't been telling me about. It's the same. It doesn't make any sense. So, right. We've gone, so then Violet suddenly had this epiphany that the Wyvern were going to attack Basgiath. So we go back to Basgiath and we convince our mom that the ward, I say we and our mom because it's written in first person, which it doesn't work for me most of the time, but, and this is kind of why, like, I don't want a self-insert story. I don't want to keep saying I when I'm reading it. I don't want to, like, feel like I don't want to be the one doing all this shit. Anyway, so we convince our mom to let us see the wards. We discover that there are dead people guarding them. And dun dun dun, it's Jack Barlow. He's back and he's a Venin. And he kills his dragon to prove that he's a Venin and be a more powerful Venin. And everyone's like, oh no, we gotta kill Jack. Hugo's checking on me. I'm sorry that I was being dramatic. So it's just like this whole, it's okay, will you stop? You're fine. So Jack wasn't actually dead. The reason that they had the serum thing to make them lose connection with their dragons and their signets is because of Jack. We're trying to control him, I guess, or maybe study him. I don't fucking know, man. So that's where I stopped. Because I'm just like, this story is trying to do too much. You can't do all of this in this one book because you're not doing it well. You have so many different plot lines going on and so many different things happening, and you're trying to do all these different things that you're not doing any of it well at all. Like, pick a couple and really focus in on them. And like, this is so like everything you could possibly, all the like fantasy elements that you could possibly have, we're gonna throw them all into one, roll it up in like a tight ball and try to make it work. And instead we just end up with this convoluted story with way too many characters. Like, she like walks into the cave and she's like, oh, it's Bade. And that was the dragon. And I was like, who the fuck is Bade? Which dragon is that again? Because we've so many of them that I literally, no fucking clue. Like, I need to have an index of like names so that I can refer back to it. This really needed more time on an editor's desk, and I'm very frustrated with that. I posted on my Instagram last night a screenshot of my Libby thing, and I was like, I'm lifting heavy weights at the gym so I can put all my frustration into that. And someone messaged me, and she was like, what is it you're frustrated with? And I was like, I wanted to be like, the writing quality, the characters, the dialogue, the interactions that they have, the way the plot goes, the writing quality, again. Like, so I just replied and I was like, what am I not frustrated about? So, yeah. I got book mail. I hardly ever get book mail. I have no idea what this is. Everything I pre-ordered isn't out till February. So, at the earliest, I have no idea what's happening. I forgot. I won a Goodreads thing. I didn't realize this book was so thin. It always looks so much bigger in hardback. Yay. Okay, so I'm in the gym parking lot, but I just had to say this before I fucking forget. And I'm gonna get home, take a shower, and then, like, wrap this up. But I finished it while I was at the gym. And there's, like, final battle, right? Which we all knew was coming. And one thing I will say is, Rebecca Yarros does, at least in these books that I have read, I will not be reading any of her other works. This is the last of these dragon sex books I'm gonna read. But at least in these 2 books, when it comes to the final battle, her pacing of the battle is actually okay. There are things that I think need work, but she does make it very rushed, like you would feel in battle, and I think this one is actually better than the one at the end of Fourth Wing, but Violet's attention is still everywhere, and I genuinely think if her attention was literally on everybody else, in reality, there's no way she would survive. And this is the thing that I wanted to say is Violet is constantly pissed that everyone is trying to protect her and not letting her do anything on her own and not trusting her decisions. But she does the same damn thing to all of her friends. She, even in battle, which they are all trained for as well, yeah, maybe they've never experienced a wyvern battle, but at one point you have to trust your friend's athletic ability, training, and instinct as, like, and stop fucking worrying about them. Stop being a control freak and let them be. She's constantly worried about how they're not going to survive, and I was getting flashbacks to the feeling I was getting while watching Buffy, because I watched Buffy as an older person. I watched Buffy when I was like 27, even though it came out when I was like, it was like 99, right? So I would have been like 12, 13. But it wasn't allowed in my house because it was demonic. So it wasn't allowed in my house. So I watched it when I was older, and I just binged it all while I was doing homework. And I had that same issue with Buffy, where she was constantly like, no one else can do this but me. She was just determined to martyr herself and just be like, I can't, none of my friends are strong enough. Meanwhile, Willow was like this badass, most powerful witch. She had a fucking, like, demon on her side, and the vampires, and she was like, none of my friends can handle this, none of them know what to do, they're not used to it. And I'm like, as if Willow isn't out here, like, putting her ass in line every fucking night with you as well. It's the same thing, like, these bitches are all out here, and I use bitches in an endearing term, are all fucking out here with you. Like, and you think they can't handle it, and I'm just like, you have no right to get mad at anyone else for doing that shit to you when you're doing it to all of them. I just need to say that. I'm gonna go home and take a fucking shower. I killed my arms today, and I don't know if I'm able to lift them later. So, I'm gonna check in with you in a couple hours, once I've settled in for the evening, with my final thoughts, and get this bitch wrapped up. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, guys. Let's wrap this up. I'm ready for it. So this second half of the book actually only took me 3 days to get through, which I'm pretty happy about. I started this on December 11th, and it is the 13th, so we kind of flew through the second half. And I will say that's because the pacing in the second half is constantly, like, action, 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 where in the first half we have a lot of, like, them going to class, and them doing this, and them doing that, and then, like, then action, and then there's them, like, doing little things, and then there's action. And so this one it was constant action, pretty much. And that's kind of where I said, like, maybe this should have been 2 separate books, or she shouldn't have tried to do so much. And I think, I don't know, the plots, I'm not going to comment on the romance plot because I'm not a romance girly, but the fantasy plot could have maybe been something. Has it been done a bunch? Similar types of things, especially in the YA. Like, but like, okay, so let me catch you up, because this is the full spoiler reading vlog. So, let's see. I left you off originally. They had gone to Basgiath because that is where the wyvern were going to attack. They convinced everyone that was still there that yes, the wyvern were going to attack here. So Violet's mom took over deciding who was going to fight and where. Brennan had originally decided to stay behind, but then he shows up and interrupts Violet and Xaden trying to go at it. And so Violet gets him to protect the ward stone thing. And so he does that, but it's still goes out. Then there's like the big wyvern battle starts basically immediately. For some reason, it's like it starts on the solstice, and I haven't quite figured it out because there's no hints that their religion, any of the religions, that the solstices are important, but things keep happening, like when the seasons change on the solstice. Like, I think it's just a flavor text, honestly. I don't think it actually means anything. So, it's a big wyvern battle. Violet decides she doesn't want anyone to die. She's, like, constantly, like, trying to be the mom of the group and, like, protect her friends, even though that means going out of her, like, sector that she's supposed to be in, which can just cause more chaos. So she does that. She saves Sawyer. He got his leg bit off by a wyvern, so she brings him down to a medic, and then she goes to, like, see where Brennan is at with, like, healing the ward stone, and then it clicks with her because Josinia comes up to her and she's like, we got it wrong, like, I think this translation's a lie, because they're comparing two translations of how to build the wards, and in the translation that Josinia has, it says that they need seven lineages of dragons, where the other book said 6, but as far as everyone knows, there's only 6 lineages of dragon, but dun dun dun, Andarna is a 7th form of dragon, because she's a special chameleon scale or something crazy. Hugin, you're fine. This dog, man. He's gonna learn. Like, he hasn't lived with me in a long time. He's gonna remember that I get animated sometimes, and it doesn't mean I'm mad at anybody. Okay. She's special. She's some sort of different lineage of dragon, and so Violet convinces Andarna, who is still baby, by the way, like, she's still the only part of this book that I like. Taryn's okay, but, like, he's just too much like everybody else. I don't know. I kind of actually like Sigale. I think she's a bitch, and I love her for it. But we get so little of them, like, it doesn't really matter. So, right. Where was I? So they get Andarna to, like, blow on the stone with everyone else, and magically the wards go up and all the wyvern die, and then Violet's like, where's Xaden? And Sigale lets her, like, go see him, and while Violet tells Taryn that he needs to talk to Andarna, because Andarna was apparently making herself look like a black dragon because she wants to be like Taryn, like, he's her idol. She wants to be like him, so she's, like, making herself look black. That's why I said she's like a chameleon or something. Or like a prism, or I don't know, she can change her color, apparently. That's how she was able to, like, she, like, blended in some areas to, like, hide in the stone, and, like, look like a cliff. She's like a chameleon, essentially. And she's like, I waited 650 years to hatch until I knew you were turning 18 because you were gonna be my person. And I was like, what the fuck is this shit? So fucking weird. Apparently dragons, while they're in their, like, eggs, can hear everything going on that the elders are talking about, and they can decide when to hatch, apparently, which is weird as shit, bro. So, it's a fantasy. People can make their own rules. Okay, so, yeah, she goes to Xaden, and, oh my god, he's a venin. And then we flip to, like, Xaden's, chapter at the end of the book, and he, like, wakes up next to Violet, so Violet still trusts him enough to, like, share the bed with him. Like, wakes up next to Violet, and then he goes down to the cell that Violet used to be held in. He goes down to the cell that Violet used to be held in to go talk to Jack to ask what the cure is, and Jack's like, there is no cure, this power, bro. And that's kind of where it ends. So, there's, like, some hints in, like, dog hair all over her shirt. There's, like, some hints in, like, the chapter headings where they do the, like, little excerpts from other things that there may be a venin who can control it, and I'm like, okay. But we're kind of hinted that, like, Violet and Xaden were kind of having the same dreams where they would both, like, give up everything to become a venin. And so I'm like, I like, a while back, I knew that Xaden was going to be a venin, right? Because I've seen the spoilers. But, I think Violet's going to be as well, the way that it's, like, one of her dreams was, like, you'll, like, destroy the wards for, like, you know, a commodity worse than power, which obviously is, like, love or whatever. So, either her daddy is the sage, or she will become a sage, because but she'll be, like, the one who can unite the sides. Her and Xaden together with their love bond will unite the sides of the Venin and the everybody else, because Violet's mom died. She like sacrificed herself. She made Liam's little sister Sloane siphon her energy into the stone to imbue the stone with energy. So yeah, she like killed herself in front of all 3 of her children. So that's cute. But we don't have therapy in this world. We just throw lightning at things when we're upset. So, all right. I'm gonna have to edit some of this shit out. I'm over this. I'm not reading the next book. I can't do this to myself again. Like, I was literally like raging at this book. So, you know, there's supposed to be that turning point where the characters start to shape the plot. The plot stops happening to the characters and they start shaping the plot. That never happens, really, with this story. And I think that's part of my plotting issue with it. It's also constantly like, it's never like, and then there's like webs that, it's a web. It's not like, which can work, but not here. This is not, she's not a good enough writer to make this work. The characters are extremely two-dimensional. We don't get any growth really in any capacity in any of the characters. And she threw in so many new characters in this book that I couldn't keep it straight. Like I said, I almost needed an index. I could not keep the characters straight. I was so confused what was happening. Because we didn't spend long enough with any of the characters. And this is, I think, something that if you're going to write in first person and include a lot of characters that are going to be important to your plot, you really need to, like, include them, like, flush them out. Otherwise, I don't give a fuck about them. One of the books that I've read in the first person that I keep forgetting is actually first person is the Mercy Thompson books, because of the way that the other characters are described in Mercy's narration. I can actually remember who they are and picture them as whole characters, not just like I don't actually get pictures in my head. I just use it as a way to explain. They're not just kind of like ghostly, waffy things. Like, they're like actual fully fleshed out skeletons with muscles and skin and everything on them. They're not just some like shade in the dark. And I'm like, so I don't think Rebecca Yarros is a good writer. I'm sorry, but I don't think she is for what she's trying to do. She's not skilled enough, and her editor is not caring enough with knowing what I know now about how Red Tower is trying to push out books and how fast they're trying to do it. They're not editing these, and they're not giving them the time that the readers who like these books deserve. The readers who like these books deserve a good story, and they're not getting it. Like, so it makes me kind of sad that people really like these books. And I'm like, you're settling for the bar on the ground because you like the smut. And I'm like, anyway, that's a judgment. I don't know if it's because they like the smut. I have just heard people raving on my Instagram about the smut in these books, which I just skip over because I find it cringy and uncomfortable, especially because they're 21 and I'm like 36. That feels weird, bro. So anyway, I hope you guys got something out of this because I tortured myself to do this. And it's been a long process. Longer than it should have been just because this is so hard for me. I might put together like a coherent video of my thoughts and actually like critique this correctly at some point. If you want to see that, give this a like. And I'll know that people do want to see that. So I'm going to wrap this up and stop thinking about this book for a little while. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you soon.